Well, oh boy.
First off, welcome to UWE Open Wounds. Now, before I go too far, allow me to explain the concept of open wounds. Every year, we will do this show. When we do, every title, regardless of it be UWE, NBYWA, GBYWN, it doesn't matter. They will be vacated, and matches will be held to reassign them. Naturally, the champion will be allowed to compete if he so wishes. On that note, if you will look above you, this title will be hung from that rope in the main event. Myself, Wildfire Cody Douglas, and this wannabe wrestler Mephisto will have to climb the ladder to retrieve the title.
Wannabe wrestler, that's an understatement. Mephisto put up one hell of a fight up against those two.
Now, in order to show my confidence that I will walk out of this match victorious, in the tradition of what Open Wounds represents, I am vacating my UWE title. As of right now, no one is champion in UWE. Speaking of which, tonight there will be one new title and one that might look a little familiar to some of you. We will be unveiling the No Way Out title, UWE's hardcore division.
Well, that's going to make for some legendary matches in this business.
The match for that title will be between myself and the Kamikaze Kid. Considering that ever since last month, the only thing I've been hearing is him running his mouth and questioning shit after Mephisto decided to play mind games with him.
Playing mind games, he was opening Kamikaze Kid up to the truth.
Now, as far as this other title goes, I made a phone call.
Phone call?
I felt a need to bring back a title. So, without further ado, I would like to reintroduce all of you to one of the masters of the backyard.
Who is it? You gotta be kidding me! It's Big Daddy Paul Steel! The commission's back! And he's got that HTR Underground title.
Man, it's great to have you back.
It's great to be back. You know, came to the point where I didn't really think that was going to happen. See, I had a few issues that came up. None the least of one was a pretty bad ankle injury. But, you know, I've been thinking a lot about a lot of things. Number one, I don't know how many times people have come up to me and say, Big Daddy Steel, you're too old to be doing the backyard. You're gonna hurt yourself. You can't do the moves. You're too old. You should have been trained years ago. It's too late for you to get any further in this business. Bullshit. Anybody that wants to do something, that has a desire to do something, can do it. And if they don't believe that, then they should just check their ass out.
Hell, if you want living proof of that, take a look at Mark Savior.
There's a few other things I have to address. First of all, when I left this company, a lot of stuff's changed in a couple of months. When I left, it was HTR Underground. I come back, I turn my head for a couple of months. What the hell happens? I come in, it's a different company. You got a different roster, a bunch of new guys. I'll tell you one thing you won't be seeing though, Daryl Drennan.
I know. It has been over the last few months. I have enjoyed the peace and quiet. You know, there's been no phone calls. Apparently, from what I've heard,
and your matches are making it onto the net now.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I was going to tell you, Daryl Drennan had a pretty bad accident.
Really?
Yeah. He kind of split the steak after the accident. I don't think he's going to be returning to the ring or the mat anytime soon.
Well,
it's a really sad thing. It's a really sad thing that things like that have to happen. Oh, speaking of which, wrestlers who are not presently with us. I talked to the Promise Sean Steele just yesterday. And I said, Promise Sean Steele, is it true that you've left and you're not coming back and you're retired? And Promise Sean Steele told me to tell you and to tell you this: never say never, and that is a damn promise.
Well, you know, when I founded UWE, I made an inaugural speech. And at the end of that speech, I said these words: Sean Steele, if you ever came back, the door would be open. But as soon as you walked through it, I would kick your ass right back out it. Now allow me, since we have Big Daddy here, to elaborate on what that means. That means as soon as you decide that you want to get off the couch, come back, and show that slimmer of the promise, we are having Blackwell Steel number 3. Because Common Grounds may not have been up on the net, but there is no way I'm passing up one last chance to prove which one of us is better.
Although I gotta say, I think if this match happens, this is not a grudge match. This is not even a feud match. I think, honestly, it's a kind of a respect match, because there's some things that went down that y'all are not privy to. That Big Daddy Steele and my brother Grim here, we know about these things. Number one, you may notice a certain t-shirt. TNT. Here's the funny thing about it. Big Daddy Steele, he has one also. And there's another guy that has one. And that is the Promise, Sean Steele. You see, at Common Grounds, we kind of switched something around on y'all, and I'm really sad that you missed that. And you can, if you see Daryl Drennan, kick him for, allowing you to miss that. But what happened is these two had their feud, right? Greatest match you ever want to see.
60-minute Iron Man match from hell, believe me.
But before that match, I faced Sean Steele. And after we just kicked the living crap out of each other, and they kicked the living crap out of each other, we stood up, we laughed, and we said, hey, Sean was never injured. You all bought it. You all fell for it. What we actually did was start to begin to film, or to form, not film, excuse me. I'm retarded today. But we started to form what would have been the most elite backyard group of all, which is what the New Tradition was in its time beforehand, but would have been again. Now, if Sean Steele ever chooses to return here to the UWE on this tarp where he was confirming his legacy, then these shirts will be worn in the New Tradition with myself, Blackwell, and Sean Steele will dominate.
And that, if I may, is a promise.